live on Facebook.
Okay.
I'll let you know. I'm just glad that we got the Zoom to be able to do it with. Awesome. Cool. So I am super excited, you all, to have Erin Gargan King here, to be the author of Digital Persuasion, amazing speaker, amazing person to follow on Instagram and just stay inspired by. And so, Erin, I'd love for you to just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself. I know that I've been when I was pushing and telling people about this interview, I was just kind of posting about some of the amazing companies that you've been able to help out and things like that. But if you want to just kind of explain a little bit about what you do and why you do it.
Well, I first started the entrepreneurial journey because I was a horrible employee. So I figured I really didn't have an option but to work for myself, as maybe some of you listening to this might be able to relate to. I did not do well in the cube environment. So my first company I started when I was 25. It was called Jump Digital Media, and we built websites for people. That was a terrible idea because I was only 25 and I had no experience. I had no capital. I went into debt. It was like every classic mistake you could ever make. It was like, check, made it. So I ended up going back to the corporate world and running social media for a company that is the world's leader in online real estate, auction.com. And from there, got a lot of corporate experience, launched their social and digital division globally, and my debt, most importantly. Got the bug again, started my company, which was called PMS.com, which was a Dollar Shave Club for women's monthly healthcare needs. We delivered important supplies to 20,000 ladies all over the country. So I sold that business, but it was actually more profitable than the business, kind of break-even venture. And then finally, third time was and agency started from my kitchen table in my jammies, one client working up to the last decade. Now we've worked with everyone from Oscars to the United States Navy, helping them elevate their social and digital communication strategies. That's kind of my story in a nutshell. So I started meeting with people and helping them to replicate success that we've learned just having thousands of campaigns and knowing a lot about what doesn't work and a little bit about what does. So I put it all in the book, Digital Persuasion, Sell Smarter in the Modern Marketplace. And now I get to run around the globe sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly with fantastic organizations like yours. One of my all-time favorite clients, Thrive-Palooza, was incredible. It was dozens of you, just the energy was indescribable. We had so much fun to how to elevate how you type tweet. That's how you and I became connected. And I really do focus on helping people like you and your organization really draw you direct selling, MLM, social media. I really believe this model is something that was not possible really 10 years ago in its current. I really believe it's the future of having it all for people who want that balance, who want to work hard, play hard, and really build their dreams. So I'm a huge advocate for the model. And I believe, a lot of the stigma that is around this model and a lot of the pushback and negativity that some consultants can experience or thrivers can experience, it's not the model. It's the message. It's not what you're doing, because everyone wants to support their friends and discover new products. Everyone wants to shop small. So it's not the business, right? It's just how we talk about it sometimes that rubs people the wrong way. So my mission is to help people like you and your organization to just make little tweaks for big results.
Awesome. And you do such a great job of explaining that at the first part of the book too. So if you all have not read this book, it is not a long read by any means. It's nice. Like I opened it up, I was just like, oh, these are the kind of books I like, because look at there's less words on the page, so I feel like I'm reading a lot faster. Right. But the whole first part, you do such a great job of talking about that growth and talking about developing those different companies and what you learn from and things. And that's what I love. That's what I like to promote to my team. And that's what I love about our company and what we do, because you're not selling a product, you're really selling your story and you're selling your experiences. And with my change and the major changes, people followed me, they've seen that I've gone through a big change. I've lost almost 100 pounds. I've
Wow.
implemented a few different things. One
Congrats.
of
That's
them
incredible.
being our products, but also just the change of mental state and the change that the way that you're doing things, it really affects your business so much. And I love the way that you explain that, and that, like you just said, this type of marketing, obviously with the technology being different 10 years ago, couldn't have happened. But because we didn't really understand that direct sales and network marketing and things like this, they were so far beyond the typical sales, because you're literally you're selling from the heart, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you do a great job in the book explaining about that relationship building and things like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I really want to thank you for opening that up to so many people, because I think that for us in network marketing, but for anyone in sales and in direct sales, and even I implemented some of these things when I was still owning my brick and mortar business, because we had to still do social media marketing. We
Mm-hmm.
still had to do that marketing. And when you were being so generic and so, I love how you break it down, because what it's the friend, seller, friend, foe. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't think of the
Friend, foe, seller, server.
server.
So
Yep.
yeah. I mean, it's interesting because if you think about it, Facebook is turning 15 and our iPhone's only 10 years old, which is crazy to think about. So we talked about this at Thrive-Palooza. The average of 10 and 15 is 13.5, which 13.5 years old is how old you are when you're a freshman in high school, when you're super awkward and you don't really know what you're doing and you are faking it till you make it. And probably most detrimental to business and growth, you're looking to everyone else to see what's cool, what's right. You're trying to mimic other people's behaviors because you don't really know who you are yet. You don't really know what you're trying to do. And unfortunately, if you feel awkward or uncomfortable or frustrated when it comes to what you're doing on social and digital, that's why. That's why we see people mimicking these horrible behaviors from influencers and brands. It's because we're in that freshman of high school awkward stage. And so, those four personas, the server, seller, friend, and foe, are within a couple of seconds. When someone opens your email or sees your post or engages with your video, within seconds, they've already decided this person is a friend that I know or cares about me. This person's a foe that I do not want to associate with. Spam, delete, ignore, ghost, I'm out, right? Or you have sort of more the gray area of seller or server, which is kind of when they're a little bit undecided. Like, maybe this person's a salesperson. Like they seem like they're trying to sell me something, but I might maybe give them a chance. Or the ideal persona, which is the server, which is someone that's not a friend. They're not a foe. They're not a seller. They're just someone in your life that's offering something that saves you time, money, or pain. And if you can save someone time, money, or pain in some way, and you can elevate and lift them up in some way via an email or a social media post or a text message or a video, you are serving them. You are helping them to be a little lighter in the cesspool of the internet, which can be a lot of crap and a lot of things we don't want to deal with. I joke around in the book. I kind of peel back the curtain and I share my really embarrassing unread message count in my inbox. And people literally judge the heck out of me for that. I mean, right now, 32,263 unread. Now, this is like not a cool thing, right? This is like, I don't regift. I pay taxes. I go to church. I'm a nice person. I swear I'm not a bad person. I just cannot swim in these waters. And so for me, to get my attention, people have to be a little bit more creative, and then vice versa. If I'm reaching out, I have to be creative, because if I exist and I can't dig my way out of all the incoming 300 messages a day we're being hit with, if I can't dig out the person I'm targeting, the meeting planner to book me to speak, or the big brand client to bring me in for the workshop, they can't find me either. So, a lot of people, when it comes to social media, they preach consistency. They preach being consistent and showing up, and that is important. I believe that even more so than just showing up and checking the box and doing the before and after, and doing the, if I told you this, would you this, and doing the financial freedom story and doing the same thing. It's better than nothing. It's great. It's good. Crawl, walk, run. That's like a crawl to a walk. But if you want to go walk to run, it's all about evolving from consistency to creativity. creativity is so much more powerful. I have a story in the book where we lost one of our big clients. It was 70% of our revenue overnight, a card that you definitely have in your wallet at this very moment. I freaked out. I had to fire 2/3 of my staff. My head's in my hands. I'm bawling, crying. And I went nuts out of desperation trying to find new clients for my agency. And I started emailing people and pitch slapping them and sending them all the why we're amazing emails that I've gotten from people that we all send because we don't know what else to write. And I didn't get any responses. And so one night I was just banging my head against the wall and this guy sent me a message. It just said Hitachi Healthcare, question mark. It was one of our big clients at the time, one of our last remaining clients that I could not afford to lose. And in the message, he just said, hey, looks like, did not use the word I once, looks like your client Hitachi Healthcare has some great social media content thanks to you. FYI, there is an API change happening. So if you're using this software to schedule their posts tomorrow, it won't go live. Just a heads up if you didn't know about that. That was it. Didn't say, check me out, buy my stuff, whatever. So I look and sure enough, if this person hadn't dropped in and been like, hey, FYI, this thing's happening. I don't know if you know about it, but this might help you, save you pain, save you time, save you money, which he did. And so I fixed it. He saved us. And so what was my natural inclination? It's reciprocity. Well, who is this guy? Who is this mystery superhero in my inbox, right? So I went and checked him out. Turns out he works for the competitor software. And I reached forward and said, you know, I've been with these guys for a while and they didn't even give me a heads up. Tell me more about your program. And we switched over and he has been our provider ever since for years and years for all of our clients. That's an example of how, and software, by the way, if you don't know, is like the most crowded, most saturated besides direct selling in the world. Like everyone's selling you a software for something. If you have the word founder or CEO on your title, it is a cesspool of people trying to sell you their stuff. So for this guy to just take them a moment to be personal and be useful and keep it brief and serve me and help me, not try to sell me and shove that pitch down my throat, it was a game changer. And he digitally differentiated himself. But in that moment, sitting there, back to the situation that I was in, I realized I need to do more of that. And I started going back through my emails and said, well, who else did I respond to? And sure enough, of the handful of emails that I did respond to from people I didn't really know, they all had that personal opening. They all had that server mentality, offering something useful. And they all kept it really brief. They didn't have the multi-scroller great wall of text, you know? And so I started to see this pattern. And so I created my own system based on what worked on me and started teaching it to my sales teams, teaching it to my marketing teams. My agency roared back to life. My clients started to see it work for them. And that's where the pub method was born. And so now it works for one-to-one sales. It works for one-to-many marketing. Shoot, it works for personal conflict management. If you're trying to text someone to give you a chance, or you're trying to figure out, how do I set up this awkward conversation? What's personal to them? What do they care about? What's going to be really useful to move this forward? And like, let's land the plane. How can we keep this pretty brief? So it's a method I use with my husband when we're in an argument, all the way to, you know, planning out my biggest speeches for 20,000 people. You know, I don't always start off and say, this is me and this is why I'm great. It's like, what do they care about first? And what's useful for them to know? And let's land the plane on these things and move on. So it's a method that I use personally and professionally. And my why is I get a lot of messages from guys and gals like you in all kinds of industries, small business, entrepreneur, direct selling, B2B, that are using this. And it's not like rocket science. It's just a little method to remind you to act like the human being that you know to be in real life, but that doesn't always translate when you get stuck behind the screen.
Right. And I love that. So I dog-eared a couple of pages in the book too. I'm totally just going off of my outline, but I never, if you see any of, everybody who watches me knows that sometimes I'll try to have an outline, or I'll have like a focus, or I'll even title like a video of a certain thing. And then when I actually go to do the video, I completely forget that was what I was going to talk about. It's always ridiculous. So, what's really funny is that, so I dog-eared this one, and one of my favorite quotes, or one of the favorite parts at the beginning or beginning-ish of the book, is you have it highlighted: when they feel nothing, they do nothing. And you said it right there. It's exactly true. And in that story, what you felt when he sent you that message was immediate more fear, especially because you're already dealing with all these other problems. You've already just lost this other client. Like, you can't lose another client. So he really got that feeling from you to be able to reach back out. And then then you start asking him questions instead of him having to ask you questions. And we do that same thing in our industry, or in health and wellness in general, or any network marketing. If you have a product that you truly believe in, that's going to help somebody, you said it yourself, if it's going to help them, if it's going to, you know, keep them from pain, or what was the third thing that
If
you
you
said?
can save them time, money, or pain.
Time, money, or
And
pain.
and those don't always, I mean, that's a pretty, my experience was pretty dramatic. I mean, to your point, the emotion was fear. And then when the problem was avoided, the pain was avoided, the emotion was relief. Then the relief turned to gratitude. Then the gratitude evolved into curiosity. And then the curiosity ignited a tell me more moment. And we're looking for those tell me more moments. How can we engineer more tell me more moments? And engineering tell me more moments is possible. It's just about coming from a place of service and not selling. Now, this sounds very great and general and 30,000 foot view. And oftentimes in my audiences, people will say, yeah, that sounds great. How do I do that in real life? And so the most practical, most I can do this today takeaway that I use in my business every day, that my clients use, the easiest thing is what I call the digital high five. 5 people a day, I reach out to them, and in some way I lift them up. Either I give them what I call a conscious custom comment, which is not just like amazing, fire, red dress lady, 100 emoji, but it's actually like a conscious, like intentional custom. It's very specific to them, and it's a comment. You know, it's not just a like. It's it's commenting on what they're posting about, what they're sharing, and maybe asking a very specific, intentional question to drive the conversation forward. Maybe it's offering a thoughtful recommendation to help elevate it even further. Maybe it's tagging a friend to connect them with the goodness. So there are all these things you can do in a comment to elevate someone, and not to be a foe, and not to be a seller, and not to be, maybe you're not friends yet, but you can be a server by, maybe saving them pain is just giving them that little endorphin hit of like, hey, someone's cheering you on and saying, good job, you. It's not always rocket science. It's not always save the business from Hitachi Healthcare. It can just be someone's having a shitty day and you drop by and you never know how much your comment meant to someone at that exact moment, And as far as time and money, I mean, those are things that we talk about all the time. We want more of both, right? And so if you're thinking of different ways, I love a good DIY recipe that's a time saver. I love a good budget tip or a great deal that can save me a couple of bucks. Everyone does. And so these things are so simple, and there's so much more we can be talking about, not only on our own profiles, but on our target clients' profiles, to lift them up and not drag them down. And that's really what it comes down to is we want to ignite those feelings of reciprocity, because to your point, all we're trying to do is move away from the constant pushing and activate more of those pull moments, bringing them in, because that's everyone's dream. Everyone's in sales, first of all, but everyone who is specifically measuring success by direct selling metrics, we all crave that tell me more. That's all we're looking for. And we can activate those when we think about being personally useful and brief. When we think about 5 people a day, giving them a digital high five. Just give them a high five in some way, and in a methodical way. My friend Neen James calls it a systematic kindness. And I love that. So yeah, I mean, that's what I do. My clients do it. It's very simple. It's doable. Takes about 5 to 10 minutes. It's not that much time. But showing up and doing that over time, you'll start to see a difference in how people respond to you. And one of my favorite things, I don't know if you use LinkedIn at all for your business, but some of my clients use LinkedIn. And one of my favorite things they do is we call it the no message, where they will just look at someone's profile. And if you have certain levels of LinkedIn, you can see who's viewed your profile. And even just feeling cool that someone took the time to check out your profile 1 or 2 times, not too many times, but like once or twice, not like creepy, right? But like once or twice, checking people out, it makes them feel kind of important. It makes them feel seen. It makes them feel significant. And sometimes that's enough for someone to go check you out and say, well, this looks interesting. As long as you're looking your best and putting your best foot forward, people want to shop you. They want to check, they don't want to be sold, but they love to check you out and maybe buy you, and so making sure that you're being buyable when someone stops by, that footprint that you have online is really important as well.
Yeah, you bring that up a couple of times in the first part of the book, and I really like that too. And then I love how you utilize and kind of an example of online dating, and how online dating and online sales are really some of the same sort of concepts. Because when you're online dating, you're really just trying to sell yourself to somebody anyways, And unfortunately, online dating is getting creepier and creepier. So it's kind of hard to
So has sales.
Right. I guess
so
that's true
sales.
too. And it's
Oh
funny
my
because
gosh.
Jason Camper, who I'm sure that you met when you were out at Thrive Palooza, he's the
He
character.
rocks. He rocks.
He
Yeah.
did a call for the company a couple of months ago, and he talked about the same sort of thing with us. You know, there's so many people who they see, we have amazing stories. There's amazing response to our products, and people really do have life-changing, stories from it. And so people so much want to just share that story and throw that story out there. And Jason Camper brought it up, and he's like, okay, well, think about it if it's a guy, right? And the guy's newly single. And now he's going on Facebook or he's going online and he's just saying, hey, look at me. This is all I got. Check me out.
Too
Look
much.
at all of this. How many women are going to go to him? Not the right ones, and that same thing happens with sales here. And I love that you do such a good job of explaining that, but breaking down why. Everyone knows they don't want to deal with that kind of thing, but why? And you do a really good job of getting people to look and be in the shoes of the person you're trying to bring your product to, you're trying to bring your service, you're trying to invite onto your team. And you do such a great job of that in the book as well. And talking about dealing with failure and dealing with negativity and stuff. You kind of brought it up earlier. You've gone through different businesses, you've had major things change, but what is one thing that you would say that you think failure does the most for your growth? It sounds like it's almost opposite, because failure, normally people automatically equate it as being something that's going to take you away from your growth or take you away from changing the way that you do things. But what is something that you take from failures? Or I'm not sure if I'm explaining this right.
So I would say the biggest thing I've taken away, first of all, I don't really believe, it sounds like a very coffee mug, but I really don't believe in failure. I really believe only in experiences that you've learned from and that you're thankful for and that have made you better and stronger. I know that sounds so beauty pageant, but I swear to God, I literally do not. I used to be like, I think I got teared up talking to you guys about my failure, to pay that cell phone bill. That was $100 that made me realize at Thrive-Palooza that I just felt like such a loser, and there are those moments, and looking back, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. And we all say that, whether it's a failed relationship and you come out the other side refined and you realize that, gosh, you dodged a bullet. It's my friend Judy Holler has this great phrase. She's an improv gal, and she always says, no mistakes, only gifts. So I love that. But I think that if you want to call the failures, let's rebrand them. Let's call them less than ideal moments that did not meet expectations, right? So less than ideal moments that did not meet expectations. And I've had so many of those. And I think obviously besides the effect it can have on your ego and your emotional health and your wallet and all those things that are true when you go through those, the biggest thing that I have taken away is that we can listen to all the podcasts and all the books, listen to podcasts, read the books, listen to the gurus, go to the events that we want. We can go on these webinars, we can listen to our people. And hearing about what to do and hearing about what might work is fantastic. I am a sponge just like you. I read a book a week. I listen to podcasts like a junkie. I love to absorb all the knowledge and all the things. It gets my mind going in so many directions. It's so important. And you just can't beat a firsthand failure to truly understand, not hear, but hear. What is the direction to go? What is the thing to do? What is the mistake you're going to avoid the next time? Or you're going to know how to be better the next time? Unless you walk through it, it's all just concepts. It doesn't become real. You don't know it till you do it. You don't know it till you walk it. And so, it's funny. I like when I hear, 21 and 22 and 23-year-olds talking about the failure and rise and grind. I'm like, hang in there, buddy. Like or gal, you have no idea. Like, saddle up. You got a long road. That is nothing, right? And so I really believe that the gratitude that we have for these moments, the thing you take away is that you know so much more. And so each time you're improving. There's a phrase out there right now about living your best life that every time I just cringe, because I don't believe there is this best life. I don't actually want to get to my best life, because then what? You just sit on that mountain of best lifeness and the party's over. You just sit up there looking at, here I am at my best life. This is fun for 5 minutes. Now what are we going to do, right? I believe in moving towards our better life. I believe in that progress over perfection. I believe in a journey over destination. I believe that, I have goals that I want to achieve. I'll write in my next book and I'm going to make, this impact on this many people. And we're going to go here and we're going to do this. And all that's great. You have to have goals. But also today in this moment, I am just being right here with you and your people, just enjoying the dialogue. And then I'm gonna move to my next meeting and I'm gonna be right in that moment. And even though I have 8 meetings today, I'm not just trying to get through them, because then what? Tomorrow I have 8 more meetings, then 8 more meetings. It's like, you have to just also, like, you're hustling, but you have to exist, I think, at that intersection of hustle and go for it, and the goals and the achieving and the chasing it down and the time blocking and the calendar that you have, and all these things are so important. And if you can't really be in the moment of each step you're taking and stop sometimes on your climb and look around that mountain and say, damn, I'm making some good progress, or I feel stronger, or look at that view. Like, if you don't stop and just be here now, I'm not really sure what the point of it all is, So I really think that as much as the hustle and grind mentality is so important, people that are on the couch, there's also a sort of a counterpoint of, let's also be kind of a good job you for what you've done even so far today. Like, what has been the moment for you today that was a little teeny small W win for your business? I know you have one. Maybe it's this moment right now together, and honoring that and feeling good about that, and not always feeling like there's more, because there's infinite more, So I really believe that the failures that I've gone through with the companies, and being embarrassed and losing tons of money, and my ego being checked and wanting to give up and being like, maybe I'm just not cut out for it. Maybe I should go get a job. Nothing wrong with that. But that would have been easier to do 20 years ago. I'd have a lot more money right now. All these things. I think that taking it all and just using it as that fuel, because when you know better, you can do better.
Yeah. I love that, Erin. And you brought up, it's so true, that progress over perfection. And it's something that I know I need to work on so bad. And I love that you brought it up, because it almost made me tear up a little bit too, because it's so true. So one of the things, like, I spent so much time, and I'm not going to get into all of it, but I've had some ups and downs. I've done time. I am a felon. I'm not proud of being a felon, but I'm proud of what has happened because of that situation and how it's taught me so much. But I still have my ups and downs. I still have my challenges. One of my biggest challenges is being mindful in my conversations, being mindful with my customers. And after hearing you at Thrive Palooza, and after, unfortunately only skimming really through the book, because we had seen you speak, and now really getting to reread it, but also seeing that develop in other speakers, and really seeing this influence of this mindfulness, and being in the moment, and having that relationship with your customer, with your client, with your teammate, with your employees, with your employers, with your relationships, with your everyone. I love seeing that. And I love the fact that you brought that up, because I think that so many people tend to forget that, me included, is how important it is to be in that moment, because that moment's only going to be there, and then it's going to be gone. And then you end up spending time worrying about what you did in that moment, and now you're not in this moment because
it's a mind F, man. It's crazy. And I appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing that story about your past. And I think that you are, I think that's really vulnerable and hard to do. So I appreciate you sharing that. And I think that even looking behind you on your board, Live the Life You Deserve. I mean, you're definitely walking the walk, and Rob, you look at that. What does it say? Be the person you needed.
So live the life you deserve, and be the person you needed when you were younger is my motto, kind of.
It's so important. And there's a little trick that I use 1,000,000 times a day to ground myself in your mantra. Whatever my mantra is always attitude of gratitude. Thank you for this moment. Thank you for this challenge. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And so everyone has their thing. So because we're so constantly distracted by our phones and social media and emails, and it's like overload, our brains are overload. I always read these articles. It's like, go for a 10-minute walk. And it's like, I don't always have 10 minutes to go for a walk, or they say, do yoga. I'm like, that takes an hour and a half. I do like 5-minute yoga here and there, but that's about it. Or they'll say, meditate. And meditation is so powerful. And I know this. I go crazy. I cannot meditate. Like, I tried these things. They don't work for me. So what I do is the simplest little thing. People say, take a deep breath, like just take a minute and breathe. And we do that. We're breathing all day. The difference that I have found is if I just close my eyes and take a deep breath, but it's the closing the eyes is the difference. And it's just for a moment where I just tune in to like what I am feeling and what my gut is telling me to do and how my emotions are behaving and what I'm trying to accomplish. Because when you close your eyes, you cut out all the distractions, you cut out all these things that are pulling us in different directions. And I think it's really hard to be mindful and present with all the things assaulting us visually. So I just close my eyes for a second. I take a deep breath, I tune into myself, and I just say, I've got this. And then I open my eyes and I return. I mean, the whole thing takes like less than 10 seconds. And it's the dumbest, simplest little thing. I probably do that 10 times a day. And so that's not meditation, it's not yoga, but it's just a little check of like, you're here now and you've got this. And it's just closing everything out for a second to just tune in. So it's super stupid, but it works for me. So, I don't know if maybe today, it's you're closing your eyes and you're saying, live the life you deserve, or whatever your mantra is, but closing your eyes just for a second to just take a beat, take a mental beat. So I don't know, it works for me. It's very simple and stupid, but it works for me.
It reminds me of Mel Robbins' 5-second rule, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that's kind of what I do. And I'll either do that, or the other one is I'll stop for a moment, if I'm dealing with challenges. I also deal with depression and anxiety some too. And I've really gotten a good hold of it. But one of the best ways for me to do that is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I've got this, or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, God's got this, or something along those lines. And just really taking that quick moment, that mindfulness is so true, and it works great for every part of your life. So with that, I think I just want to thank you so much. Oh, I was going to mention too, so I love that you brought that up, because one of the things I'm going to be doing on my own personal page is I'm going to be starting a stand-up, sit-up challenge, and it's going to be awareness for mental awareness, suicide awareness, things like that. And the fact that you can just take a minute and stand tall, or if you're sitting at a desk and sit tall, close your eyes and breathe, you get that extra oxygen in, which sometimes can change the way that you're even thinking at that moment, or give you an extra moment to make a better decision than what maybe you were already thinking to do. So I really love that you had brought that up, and I'm really excited to use that closing of the eyes and breathing and having a little bit of a mantra as part of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Erin. Is there anything else you'd like to talk in?
Well, I have two things. One, I am going to give away a copy of my book to someone listening to this podcast or this Facebook Live or the replay. So I'm going to be choosing one person by 5 p.m. PST today who comments with the nugget from our conversation today that touched them most deeply, or their aha moment, or the thing that we talked about today that they said, I can do that, right? I can do that. So leave your comments on Rob's Facebook Live, and I'll look at the comments, and I'm going to pick the best one, and I will mail you a free signed copy of my book, Digital Persuasion. That's number one. And number two, I am also launching my group coaching program finally in 2020. So if you would like to join the wait list, we're going to be having conversations like this with tips and tricks and daily ideas about social media, online, offline, all the time, all the things. There is a link in my Instagram bio that you can sign up to join the waitlist for that. And I'll let you know when we are launching it. Ideally, it's going to be end of January, early Feb. So what's going on over here?
Excited for that. I'm already on the waitlist for that. And I get the newsletters too. I love getting the newsletters because they're fun, you all. So go check out Erin's Instagram. If you don't have her on Instagram, follow her. Not only is it great content, but your stories are so fun too, because it always makes me feel like, you can see that I'm in the Midwest because I'm so pale, and you're definitely out in California, but it's nice to see all of that warmth and sunniness on there too. So thank you so much, Erin. I really do appreciate you popping on and taking this time to share with me and all of us.
Well, thanks for having me, Rob. And here is to you living the life that you deserve, my friend.
Thank you, darling. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.